most of my cast work here, but there are, most of them have later, engagement, so they have to leave. But still, I have here my executive producer and the co-writer, Donald Martin, and who I've been worked with for years, since '96. So I'm glad and honored having him not only as my partner, but as my friend. So the big applause for my friend Donald. And then I would like to introduce Karen, come down here. So Tiffany Wu played Karen in the movie, and this is actually her first time. She just graduated from Michigan, and she was just wonderful, a joy to be working with, and I hope you guys will remember her because she is a rising star. And so next, I would like to bring my star, Rochelle Ying.
She was stopping me, but anyway, okay.
Yeah. So Rochelle played Emma. And so this girl's still only 19 right now, and 2 years ago when we shot the movies in the summer, she was only 17, and her first feature film. And so right now she goes to LMU, actually studying acting, and so I couldn't thank her enough for being totally trusting me and embracing this role on many levels, and give all her to me. Actually, including Tiffany too. They really trusted me. I felt like they're my daughter now, not just my actors. So I won't take up too much time, but I would want to thank everybody again for staying, and this really meant a lot to me. So I'll give them a chance to talk. So whoever wants to talk first.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll kick things off.
Yeah,
and then
you
I'll
do the question. Yeah.
Oh, and then maybe we'll have a little time for audience questions.
Okay.
But first of all, I just wanted to kick off our Q&A here by again thank you guys for staying. Thank you to our casting crew for participating in today's event. I know from the opening titles you mentioned this film is inspired by true events, and I know that's probably the case for some of your previous films. We can touch upon that. But can you talk about, in terms of that, how the genesis of this project, based on what you indicated?
Yeah. So the very like a true event, it was really inspired from a very dear friend of mine from college, and she got married to her husband, and but she never knew. He never told her that he is gay. And so after they got married, and she's pregnant, and so also at that time, and we're talking about in the 90s, and he is the one who told her that he doesn't have a lot of time left, and he asked her for forgiveness and asked her to give the remaining life of his time, the time of his remaining life, to be with the one that he really loves. And then he's just gone out of her life forever. Even today, she doesn't know when did he die. And the daughter actually right now lives in Orange County, a great pianist. So that was kind of something really touched me at that when I heard that story, is the kind of family secret that we keep to ourselves, and the miscommunication that we have. If only we had a chance to really talk to each other, because time is different and we're changing. That would have so much, maybe not less pain, but avoiding causing more pain, right? It's already painful enough, dying. I think she thinks it's probably AIDS, but not saying anything. It just kind of such deep regret. So when Donald and I were discussing doing this project, I said, we need to find a way to put this story in there. And of course, he's the genius of putting everything together. So so that's part of the true part.
Wonderful. I also wanted to comment first of all, since we have your cast members here, a little bit about like what just putting this project together, and obviously I know you've collaborated with Lisa many times before. I'm thinking you had her as the grandmother from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the casting process like for the other actors in your ensemble cast, which is a multi-generation transnational diasporic cast?
Yes.
So you guys comment on it, and also talk about your individual role, how you thought about your character for this film. However you felt portraying your character.
Well, Karen was a lot of fun for me to play. She's very playful and quite fearless, so it's always fun to embody someone who is very free. It feels like you really can do anything. So that was really fun for me to do. Also, I loved playing opposite Rochelle. She's a joy, and she made my job really easy because most of the time when we were laughing, it was just me actually laughing at something she said. So it was every day on set, it was just me playing with Rochelle. So that was also really fun. And as far as the casting process, it was really fun because I got to work with Anna during my callback, and it was quite unusual because I actually got to do the callback in her house, and so I felt very at home, and it was very easy, and immediately we hit it right off the bat. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. We do feel like a family together, and Lisa was really like a grandmother to us. She would talk to us, and it's not only like during the production, we also like talk a lot, and we become very close friends and close. Like, it really, I call her 99 all the time. So, and you feel that bonding, and we just love it. And a lot of those we don't know. It's hard to distinguish, which is like within the script, which is like very natural chemistry, right?
Brilliant, thank you for that. I also wanted to comment on, obviously this film is very much a family melodrama. It's also a road film because much of the narrative is spent on this journey. It's also, I wanted to also start thinking about the themes of the films, about, female friendship at the heart of it, and then obviously the 3 generations of Chinese women, but also about this idea of the chosen family in the film, especially with the inclusion of the LGBTQ storyline with Karen coming out, Emma's father, and just thinking on the inclusion of like the non-Asian members of the family, Brian and Charlotte, as integral part of the family unit. So I wanted to get you guys to think about like this representation. Was this something that you had thought about, this idea of the chosen family that is beyond blood,
Well, maybe I'll let Donald talk about that because Donald is actually proud LGBTQ community people, and we whenever we work together, we do want to practice inclusion and as diversified as possible because who we are, and for me, coming from the Asian community, and for him, he's not an American, he's a Canadian. So we just felt like we need to including as many people as we can in our writing. So I'll let him talk.
Yes, Anna and I, first of all, though I'm gay and she's straight, she calls me her gay husband, and I call her my straight wife. I'm married to an Asian, to a real Asian, to a Filipino, my husband over there. So even though I'm not Asian, I have spent the last 20 years living with an Asian, and I know that when you marry an Asian, you marry their entire family. So inclusion is part of my everyday life. And then I have 2 foster children who are Latino. So inclusion, again, is just part of my everyday life. And I have 1 nephew, and he's Black. So when we talked about this story and populating it with these characters, it just seemed natural to us and organic to us to make it truly representational of what this country and the Western world is truly about, which is inclusion. So having a black person and having some LGBTQ characters and having mixed family relationships just seemed natural and organic to us.
Wonderful, yeah, definitely this film represents this kind of like mosaic, of the American like family, or like the idea of a family here in America, especially, and that kind of dovetailed into my next comment about the title of the film, The Disappearance of Mrs. Wu, which I read a little bit maybe more figuratively as well. It's like literally the plot point that gets the story starting, but also the idea of the fraught relationship between mothers and daughters, especially with the younger Mrs. Wu, who has a very complicated relationship with her mother, and just like her inability to communicate with her mother in her final days, and that kind of potentially trickling down to her own relationship with her daughter, this breakdown in communication, but yet there's just so much love there. So I just wanted to think about the idea of the disappearance and the prevention of that to some degree, like, while Lily brings the family together, through her, I guess her impending, passing or transitioning, it's a time for healing. And this film, I feel like, does that really well. I guess I meant, if you want to comment on that, the idea of like these paying it forward in the family, and kind of like each generation kind of like building and learning from each other.
Yeah.
In the script.
Yeah. So, when we decided to do this, we decided to do a 3 generation. We've seen a lot of movies between 2 generations, right? Or siblings, same generation. For me, my relationship with my mother, who is still in China, versus my relationship with my daughter are very different. And it feels like the older generation is, the representative of the old and the history and culture, and the one in the middle is almost the bridge between the old and the new, whereas the American daughter, it really is a different, generation. So how do you pass on the torch or baton from? Because you can't lose the old to have the new. I think the new always comes from the old, and I don't know what happened to this one, but okay. So for me, even though the plot is where's Mrs. Wu, right? Disappearance of Mrs. Wu, but metaphorically, she doesn't really want her passing become a real disappearing of the culture and the tradition that she carried with her maybe from her mother, whatever, from China, and she wants to bring them together. That therefore, even though physically one day she might be gone, and she will be gone, but the family, what she has left behind, if she could bring them together, especially, will always be there. So, so we kind of played on the word of disappearance, because Mrs. Wu didn't disappear, right? Yeah, Mrs. Wu continued with us, and hopefully her daughter and her granddaughter will continue that too.
Passing mic just because we're having that adds. Let me see if there's questions from the audience before I go back to more questions. Sir.
Hi, Anna. Great job, all of you, Donald, Anna, young ladies. You just kind of answered this, Anna, a little bit, but I want to tie it in with a line that's in the film. There seems to be an element of people, particularly older generations, the father who's no longer with us, trying to control things. Even the mother is constantly washing her hands with hand sanitizer, trying to control her environment, and then eventually someone throws it away. That seems to be brought clearly in line with you and Mr. Martin there by the line that the grandmother says in Follow the Butterflies. Can you talk a little bit more about that, Donald, about follow the butterflies, and what you're trying to say with that about letting go and embracing acceptance?
Well, we talked about the whole butterfly thing, and having butterflies in your stomach, and then metaphorically following a butterfly, and how a butterfly is here for a short time, but brings beauty to the world. Every time we see a butterfly, we smile, and a butterfly inadvertently connects people. It flies from one person to another, to another, to another. So we wanted the notion of butterflies to be a connective tissue for this family, for these relationships. And that's what we talked about, sitting by my pool, going over this script. And it was a pleasure to work on this script with Anna. We worked together on Dim Sum Funeral in 2008, which was at this festival. Thank you. And we have other projects we're going to be doing together as well.
Yeah, so there's Donald said so wonderfully about the butterfly, and I think it is how to let it go, right? Sometimes we feel like we have to control certain things, but the more we try, actually, the less effective it is. When you actually let it go, it will stay. It's almost like when you try to catch a butterfly, it always tries to fly away, but if you just stop and watching, the butterfly is going to stay there with you and not going away. So I think that's kind of what we should look at in life, in relationship, is giving space, let it breathe, it will stay there forever. But if you push too hard, it might actually disappear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautifully said.
Are there other audience questions for the cast and crew? Yes, young woman up there.
For the cast, I was curious, what were your favorite scenes to film?
Favorite scene to film? There are. We're dumpling one for sure, because we got to eat a very good dumpling. They're actually super good from one of our friends' restaurants. And the other one will be, I actually very enjoy the one when I sitting with the grandma when she's like laying down and stuff. That's very but it's because Lisa has such eyes that she'll look at you and you feel like she's like looking beyond them, like she can see through you. But then she embraced everything you have. And that's the moment I feel like, oh my God, that feeling is so strong. It's very personal, but I do love that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would say like my favorite scene is probably anyone that had Lisa in it. Yeah, she was.
But yourself too.
Yeah, well, yes, but I mean like when to clarify, the favorite scene was when I was watching her. So yeah, being able to just be in her presence, that was really cool. We learn a lot from her. She is truly a legend and such a professional on set. So yeah, that really any scene that I got to be in with her was really, really awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about yourself in this movie? Your own
Mine.
scenes.
Like a personal favorite scene of Karen's?
Yeah.
Okay. That's also, I guess, hard. I would say the most impactful scene was probably Karen and Emma's argument / coming out. Yeah, that one was not fun per se, but because it was rather difficult, but it was really, really interesting, and I really enjoyed doing it. And looking back, it was like a really cool moment that we got to share on set. So.
And you learned a lot of like magic tricks from your father. Right?
Oh
He
yes.
was so cool. He knows a lot.
Yes, Joseph Chan. He's magnificent. He's a professional magician. He often performs at the Magic Castle. So he played my father in the role, and he's quite fantastic. Had really awesome tricks. So I really did enjoy that scene that we filmed in the van where I got to do a magic trick with Lisa, pulling the coin out of thin air. That it looks simple, but it's quite difficult, especially because it was a $50. Yeah, which it has JFK on it, and it's like massive. They're not in circulation anymore for a reason because they're massive. But yeah, so me with my little hands trying to pull that coin out of thin air while also angling it for the camera so the camera wouldn't. And while driving, that in itself was a magic trick. That so.
I love that.
Before I ask more questions, are there any other audience questions? Gentleman right there in the center.
I know a lot of films are shot out of sequence. Maybe the character dying is shot first, and then it goes through the story. So I know how they make a trip to Carmel, was it?
Carmel.
Carmel. Is it actually? Did you follow the sequence as you traveled there and came back, or was it out of order? I feel like maybe the creators of the characters traveled in sequence with the characters there and back.
Actually, no. I wish we could shoot that way, but on any productions, that would be a luxury actually to shoot the way it's been written. But since we don't have that kind of a resource, money and time, we actually have to shoot it. Depends on the location. Very much is determined by when the location is available and how expensive it is, and especially if we are, not if, but we are actually driving on the road, we need police. So normally they try to do weekend because it's less traffic, it's easier to control. So because of all of that, we have, this girl is actually the father's thing that she watched, Emma watched the tape. It's very early on, so she did a great job for crying, because after that she has to do all the happy ones. But we only, the whole movie is shot around LA, and we only went to Carmel for 3 days, mainly because I want to honor Lisa, because there's a little personal story, Donald and I haven't got a chance to share with you guys yet. Is when we finished writing the script and we gave it to Lisa, and Lisa called me after she read it. She said, "Anna, how do you know I was from Carmel?" It turned out when she left China right after World War II, and she settled in Carmel, and her house is still there. On Ocean Avenue in Carmel. So for that, I just felt like, okay, we can't really cheat Carmel with Malibu Beach. We have to go to Carmel. So I can take Lisa physically back to live her own memory, the true memory beside the fictional memory. So, so we did do that.
Folks, any more questions from the audience? I want to accommodate as many questions as possible, so thank you for the wonderful questions you've asked so far. Sir, right there, baseball cap.
This is at least Tiffany's first time seeing the movie. Is it maybe Rochelle's too? Is there any like words you can say about your feeling of watching yourself on these conditions?
No, please. I cried when I saw me crying for the tape. That was always because I knew it. I was asking my friend, "Do you have napkins? Do you have like something?" I knew I would do that, and I did. But that was very. I guess my dad was like super strong in acting and stuff. I wish I could meet him again. And yeah, because when I was shooting that scene, that was the first time I saw the tape as well. I skipped the script intentionally to give the first impression, I guess. And then, yeah, but then I saw me crying for him and stuff. That was very, yeah, a moment.
Yeah, but overall, watching the movie first time, yourself, watching yourself as an actress on big screen for the first time, yeah.
I say proud, but also a lot of, like, because this was like 2 years ago, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like I changed a little bit, and there's definitely room to grow, but super proud. I feel proud.
Yeah, you should be, yeah.
Well, I feel incredibly fortunate being able to watch myself on the big screen. That's like not something most people can say. It's very awesome that I'm able to like watch myself in a film with Lisa and other really incredible, wonderful people. It's something that I'll treasure forever. I had a lot of fun when I filmed this film, and we had really great cast. Like Rochelle said, we all felt like family, and our crew were really awesome. I really got to know all of them quite well, like from the cameraman to the camera team to the teamsters to wardrobe and makeup. Like they were all incredible, and so just like watching this, I'm able to see all of the amazing work that they put into it and how hard everyone worked, you know, because some days we had like really long days, and it's just such a wonderful like memento. It's a wonderful memory that I can treasure for a long time.
You guys did great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your questions. I wanted just to like kind of slowly close off our conversation for today, but just asking a little bit more about just bringing up some of the details you guys have offered already to the audience. Just this idea of this film, thinking about this film as in a lineage of like the Asian American kind of cinema and canon that we're building as a community. I know your work with Dim Sum Funeral and also some of your work with like Wing Wang, and for instance, there's a lot of resonance between those films and this film. But there's been a period of time between the films, and there's been changes in the cultural zeitgeist, especially in the industry right now. So I wanted to see if maybe directed to Anna first of all. Question about thinking about this film's kind of place in this media landscape right now, where we're seeing this like greater representation and just more like access to Asian American independent cinema. If you want to think about that.
Well, yeah, I have always telling my family and my friend that as a filmmaker, I can only tell stories that I can identify with and I can feel it in my heart. So I always say, I will never be able to make a movie like Minari or even the Blue Bayonne right now is playing because I didn't grow up in this country. I was born in China and grew up in China, and I came here to study at UCLA, and so what I never had the identity crisis, living in this country, being Asian. I came and knowing I am Chinese, and and from my point of view, when I look at American, I see all different kind of people. They're all American. So in my eyes, they're all American, whether they're Asian or African American or Hispanic, they're all American. So for me to tell a story like this, I want people to look at this movie as a American movie first, but with Chinese characteristic in there. And it's not just to bring Asian community together, but also bring all community together. But to look at ourselves as part of this country, not just one community or another community. That's what I was hoping, especially at this time in our society in America. and in our industry, and we are talking about diversity and inclusion. And I want my movie also be part of the inclusion. I don't want to just do an Asian movie for the sake of being Asian. I think Asian, first and foremost, are also part of American. So therefore, the story is American story first, and then Asian story being the uniqueness of the story, not necessarily being a separate issue. So I hope this movie will have its place in history and its place in the industry. And I hope when the movie is out, audience will identify it and enjoy it.
My last comment was obviously, okay, you guys, as you know, I just want to reiterate that there will be a second screening of this film that's going to be open and free. So that's going to be promoted on our festival website at festival.vcmedia.org, and that will also be on the social media. So please keep an eye out for that and tell your friends who weren't able to come today. But I also just wanted to thank our filmmaker and our cast and crew for being such delightful, like, thoughtful guests and presenting their film here. I guess my parting words was just to thank you for, being, helping to build the canon for the Asian American cinema, but independent film in general here in the U.S. That it's just so, it's a mosaic. It's the various experiences is clearly outlined in your script, where you have like folks who are part of the Chinese diaspora at very different points in life, just the variety of the immigration experience that's actually depicted very subtly in the film. So yeah, and just, yeah, as a Chinese American, I kind of really keyed into that. I saw that in my own family. I see the nuance, but also this is a very American story. So I hope you want to, tell your friends to come watch Anna's film, and maybe you can just have the final word. Where is this playing after the festival circuit?
And the unfortunate event, because of the COVID, the movie we shot 2 years ago, and we actually haven't done anything else yet. This is the second festival we're playing, so you guys are actually the second audience completely. And we have Picture House, it's Bob Burney's company, and they picked up to sell this movie for us. So it really, because the COVID's still changing, we're in a situation that actually I don't know where we're gonna go next. But my goal is to show this movie to audience at one way or the other at some point, whether it's in the theater or on a streaming platform. Stay tuned, I will let you know.
The film will be in Taipei in November at the Golden Horse Film Festival, which is chaired by Ang Lee.
Thank you for that. That's great. Look out for that press about that. And okay, on that note, I want to thank our guests and to thank you guys for coming. If you like this program, please consider supporting visual communication. Any donation supports our year-round programming and events like the festival every year. Don't forget to talk about the festival and maybe the screening on social media and hashtag LAAPFF 2021. Okay, so thank you guys, and I hope to see you throughout the week as the festival rolls on. Thank you so much for coming today.
Taipei and Julia are two wonderful actors that I actually fortunate enough to work with in the past. So thank you for your support.
Thank you all. Congratulations on a wonderful film. Thank you.
Thank you.